Hey, remind me how to pronounce your last name again?
Well, in Italy they would say like D'Alessandro, but my family, we just say D'Alessandro.
Oh, D'Alessandro.
D'Alessandro, yeah.
Oh, that's easy. D'Alessandro. I got it. D'Alessandro.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for your next comedian, Eric Disselling. What is it?
D'Alessandro.
Eric what?
D'Alessandro.
D'Alessandro. Eric One more time?
Eric D'Alessandro.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Derek Alejandro. Disolendrio. Eric Dolly Parton. Sally Dendro. Rhododendron. Dolly Martin. Deli Sandals. Dollar Sandwich. T.L. Hughley. Tony Danza. Val Venus.
Dude, Eric D'Alessandro.
Got it. Ladies and gentlemen, Ellen DeGeneres.
There's a honeymoon phase with all these agents and managers, and if you don't book something in 6 weeks, they literally forget that you're a person. And
I've heard that about agents, like, period, even if you do book things.
Oh, yeah. I don't need an agent. I don't think I'll ever have one again.
But is your manager helpful?
So I don't really work with him much anymore since I did my own thing, which is also another tip for people. In 2021, you don't need anyone. You don't need anyone. It's you, your camera, and the internet, and you can do anything you want. Just ask anyone who's doing it online.
But you're super successful. So that's not happening to everyone. You're putting up your clips on Instagram and millions of people are watching them and loving them.
I worked towards that though, you know? And that was a scary thing when I moved to LA too, was like, I have to make something happen. I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was like, all right, so if I'm there, I'll be in their face more. Maybe I'll get more auditions. Maybe I'll just do more stand-up. And when we moved there, it was just sink or swim. Now you have to figure it out. So just not being home was really, really helpful. I mean, I always tell people I didn't need to be in Los Angeles, just not living at home.
Oh, that makes sense.
With your Italian mother who will
cook and clean
make
for
me
you.
Feel way too comfortable. Cook and clean everything, and my parents are very supportive, but they're also really realistic. Every once in a while, they'd be like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" And I'm like, "I'm just trying to figure it out, all right?" But they would see me. I wasn't just sitting around, you know. Oops, sorry, just
That's your phone.
broke my phone. I wasn't sitting around all day smoking weed and like not trying. They saw me actively trying hard, but it was very difficult. Everybody says, "What do I do?" Well, what do I do? My brother would be like, "Well, why don't you just go on auditions?" Okay, one audition, please. Like people don't know what the hell.
That's like, just stop worrying.
Yeah, they don't know what the hell they're talking about, and people say it to me all the time. How come you don't do movies? Oh, okay. Hey, is this Hollywood? I'll take a movie, please. So people just don't get it. They don't know how difficult it is. So when I moved to LA, I also did this thing where like I was almost like afraid of becoming like Jaleel White, who was the actor who played Steve Urkel.
Yeah. Wait, didn't he just die?
No, God.
Oh
no,
no, it's
He's
not
a
him.
national
I'm
treasure.
sorry.
I'll be depressed when Jaleel White dies. God
Confusing
forbid.
him with Screech.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah, there was
Okay.
another similar typecast kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would do this like this character, this like Staten Island girl niche comedy, and I would do this video or something that I worked so hard on, and no one would care about it. But then if I put the wig on and make fun of girls that I grew up with, it would explode, and I was like, it's kind of depressing because it was like I feel like an artist and I feel like I have other things to say, but all they want me to do is do this character again. And I ran from it, I think, too quickly. So when I got to LA, I was like, if they want Italian-American Staten Island material, that's what they're going to get. So I just doubled down on what I was like not wanting to do forever. And I just, I would just tell by my analytics, like, oh, this video got 1,000 likes.
Okay.
I'm going to do one just like this. And then that got 2,000 likes, and then 5,000, and then 10,000. So it just kept growing. And that's really when I started to realize, like, there's nothing between myself and the audience anymore. There used to be this story of, like, in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s of Hollywood, there's the gatekeepers of, like, I have to approve if you're in the club or not. And now it's like, hey, guess what? You don't own anything anymore. I can do whatever I want. And I would go to the Comedy Store. I'd try to do open mics there. And it was just the personification of Hollywood, of like 4,000 people putting their name in the hat, them picking out 7 and being like, you could do 1 minute. And of course, half the people are there kissing ass, so they get their name pulled every week. And the other half is like winning the lottery. And I've never had good luck. I'm a Mets and a Knicks fan, so I'm not going to win anything in my life. So I did that a couple of times. I'm like, this is so outdated. How come no one has?
So interesting. And it's so deeply rooted, right? It was so long. It's so long standing. That was the system. Is Comedy Store? Is that where that? I hear the comedians talk about it all the time, like the older comedians. Mitzi?
The older comedians.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Is that the place with Mitzi, whatever?
Yeah, she's dead.
Yes.
You wanted someone who's dead. She's dead.
I did want someone
Finally.
who's dead. How'd
There
you
you
know? But yeah, so but it's that thing where like you have to get the approval from the people.
Yep.
And they just decide whatever, not based on anything
that
you can do anything about,
Yep.
I guess. But then you realize that now you don't need that anymore. That's old and outdated. So how did you figure that out? Just because people were directly interacting with your like videos with your on social.
Yeah, you would see. So any night you go to the Comedy Store, you'll see 5 comedians in a row that are ridiculous. They will destroy. Yeah, but that is the funniest guy or girl I've ever seen in my life. They have 3,000 Instagram followers. They have this idea of they're too good, they're too much of an artist, they're too whatever. I thought the same way. Like they're social media kids. Like they think they're going to be Logan Paul if they go on the internet. And I get a lot of shit from comedians. They hate my guts. Like
Why?
Comedians.
Oh, because you're not in the system?
Oh yeah, I'm not in the circle. I did this rogue punk rock thing. They don't like me. I have a man bun. They hate everything about me. And what the hell would I care? I don't care. And I think that you watch the Comedy Store documentary, which is fantastic. Obviously, I would love to kill at the Comedy Store, but I'm not going to kiss the feet of someone who has nothing to offer me. Like, I can go around. I'll go this way. Fine. You guys can do all that. I'm going to go headline a show by myself. And I think that many comedians are stuck in, like, I want to be Jerry Seinfeld. And I'm like, well, that's not going to happen.
Right,
Jerry Seinfeld
right.
is 70 years old.
Yeah.
And that there is no such thing
There are
as
no more
Friends, the
Seinfelds.
sitcom anymore. That's not going to happen. It's like the metaphor I always use is I'm a big film fanatic, and like when I was in college learning about film, this happens every single generation. The vaudeville actors, they dismissed the movie actors, and then the
up and comers. You're saying the next generation,
the silent film actors were like
yeah.
the talkies. That'll never last, and we keep doing it. Oh, social media comedians, this will never last. Now these kids, they're just going to be 55 years old, still doing spots, and they can have the respect of their peers, but don't you want more than that? If not, that's fine.
So you think it's totally over at this point, or will be at some point?
The system, the traditional system, absolutely.
Yeah, because everybody's getting older together then at that point.
Do you know how many people I've seen destroy on Kimmel or Letterman or Conan or Fallon, and then you'll never hear of them ever again? That doesn't mean anything.
Right. So then where do they go? So are they still on social? Like, can you see them do it, or can you
those
like
guys,
at the places where you're playing, because you're selling out where you go on tour now, correct?
Yeah.
And these are big places.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. That's
Well,
because
you're not
of
lucky.
That's because of social media.
Yeah, but that's fine. But it's not lucky. It's what you've done. It's not you can just fall into that, and it's because you're funny and people like you, and you're doing it on your own. So you're not just taking no for an answer. You're saying, okay, I'll do it my way then. And you're doing it your way.
Yeah.
So that's not luck. Let's just be clear.
Well, I'm lucky that people are coming to the shows.
Sure. I mean, you're grateful and appreciative.
Extremely, yeah.
Right, and I get that. That's great that you are. But you've worked really hard for it, and you've thought outside the box to get there, to do it.
Yeah.
So why can't these other really funny people who've been killing on Kimmel or whatever, can they do the same thing?
They can. It's interesting too. Like I mentioned Bo Burnham before. He's able, if you see his live show, it's very much who he is. He's able to do both perfectly. He's able to do a live performance, but he's also able to master YouTube and like digital content, because that's very different. Like a lot of stand-up, all they do is they just put up their bits online. I don't really do that. My Instagram doesn't have, people don't even know that I do stand-up.
Right.
Which is kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing, but it's what works for that medium. Like if like I said, if you can kill on Fallon, but more people will see you if Barstool Sports reposts you, and they don't want that. It's not only that they just don't want that to be true. They want it to be the 90s. They want their spot on Kimmel to mean something. They want to host a sitcom. They think that
That's the
the 1995 is coming back.
All right.
It's like they're trying to get their VHS and Blockbuster, and I'm like, I don't know why you guys are doing this. Is never gonna be a thing anymore. And if you want to be the best comedian, just to have the respect of all comedians, I get that. Do you? But if you're trying to get to the next level, and you're not, and you're like turning your head at social media, you're just a dinosaur at that point. I don't know what you're doing. It's never gonna. That's not going away. If anything, it's getting more powerful. And once I was one of those people who thought like, I don't want to be on YouTube. I'm an artist. I don't want to be on YouTube. And then you see these people on YouTube becoming millionaires doing whatever they wanted anyway. They could sell scripts. They could sell out theaters because that's really all it is people, you and them. It's you and an audience. If you want to be a chef, you can make recipe videos on TikTok. If you want to be a makeup artist, put it on TikTok. And it's just, the world is there for you, for the taking. And there's no one approving of you anymore. Where it used to be these gatekeepers and Harvey Weinstein, horrific people who would literally do horrible things because he had power. We've taken that away. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. And there are some comedians out there who are just like, they just don't want that to be true. So they'd rather lie to themselves and act like, oh no, but I'm a real comedian. And I get it, but
Yeah, it is so interesting though. It is like it is a totally different era and only getting more so. Like it's only the
100%.
beginning of that. So how did you start doing the stand up then? How do you go from getting into stand up, deciding this kind of thing isn't for you, the Comedy Store, let's say. And then now you're at these other places. So did you book yourself and then like sell tickets through your social media? Like how did you make that? Is that how it worked?
Yeah, I mean, I did open mics for probably like a year, I would say. And then because I had a little bit of reputation on Staten Island, there was a comedy club there, and I did like a 15-minute spot one night. And I was on just the lineup of this comedy show. We sold it out because I made sure I have a giant family. They told their friends, and we sold it out. And I did okay. I wasn't really who I am yet. Like it takes a while to find out who you are on stage. But honestly, the best thing for me was I was thrown to the wolves. I would ask in like 2018 when I started to get my momentum back with like a fan base, because I disappeared for a while. And when Instagram started to go well again, when I moved to LA, I was calling places. A friend of mine owned a restaurant, and I was like, hey, I'm trying to do a comedy night. Like, would you be interested in that? And he was like, oh, I don't think so, man. So, and then a kid at my old college I spoke to, we were trying to plan something, and it just kept getting delayed. So I was looking for places to do something. And then this restaurant on Staten Island, I booked a place, like 150 tickets, and they sold out like in an hour. And I was like,
Were you like,
oh my God. I wasn't happy. I was nervous.
Of course.
What am I going to do now? These people are
Right.
expecting a show. I've done 10 minutes 4 years ago. So it was not like looking very, very good for me. And then I just sat in my apartment. She'd go to work, and I would just think of like bits that I did on Instagram, and I would expand them. So like it was 60 seconds. On stage, it might be like 5 minutes. And I just wrote a 45-minute to hour set. The first couple of shows were rough. I think it maybe did okay. And then I just started doing more of those, and I just kept sharpening it. And the only thing, it's crazy because the only thing that got me better at stand-up was doing stand-up over and over again.
Well, they do all say that.
Every night. But not in 2-minute increments.
Oh, okay.
You can't get good like that.
I hear what you're saying.
I was on stage for an hour by myself. Now make us laugh. And that's how I got good at it. Whereas the other way is from the 70s and the 80s, and they act like that's how. I don't know what the alternative is, because if you don't have an audience and people buying tickets, I do understand, but I don't know what it is. There's something. There's some ways to not make it last 20 years and hand out flyers in front of the Laugh Factory for 10 years. And we can have 1 minute at 4 in the morning. Like I don't know how people work. I don't know how they're doing it. I just needed a way to not. I didn't have time. I had to pay rent. I had no job. I didn't know what to do.
So that was all a gift, actually. All that, which was like a nightmare, was a gift.
The anxiety?
No, not the anxiety, but maybe partially the anxiety.
I think it was the anxiety,
but like the
too.
anxiety and the everything not working out, the traditional route not working out.
Yes.
That was all a gift.
Absolutely.
Add the anxiety in, and then it got you to do the things that you did and got you to the place where you are now. So yeah, well, I'm going to say the anxiety was a gift too.
I think about that all the time, yeah. And that's when I started to realize, like, okay, every time I think of like the traditional route of like like even me getting in tight with these Austin comedians like who are huge out there, and I can tell there's some like not animosity. I can just tell when people don't love me when they're just like I'm not one of the guys, and I can tell like if people don't like me, and I'm thinking like this is me trying to be traditional again. And I'm like I gotta stop doing this. This is not my strength. Every time I try to do the traditional route, it goes horribly wrong. You got to do what you're good at, Eric. Do what you're good at. Stick to, double down on the internet stuff. Double down on whatever you were doing. Don't try to be like these people because you're not like them. They did it a different way. They've been doing stand-up for 15 years, and that's not you. So, yeah, it was definitely a gift. And I also believe that, like, notoriety and whatever you want to call it, it's better to have that later on in life. And I think that people don't realize. I feel bad for Justin Bieber. I think he's permanently changed from what happened to him. Just being that famous, that rich, it's so young. There's just like a look in his eyes that just like he's gone.
You could put Britney Spears in that.
Britney,
too.
1,000.
And a million other people.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And they're really not spiritually there anymore, and it's devastating.
It's sad.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
And I think if that would have happened, I think that was a blessing. If that would have happened with my first manager, I don't know where I'd be right now. I might be a mess.
Yeah, maybe, but I think also depends on who you are, your personality, and all that
we don't know anything. Yeah,
right,
I could have died in a plane crash.
Exactly.
Who the hell knows? But
well, that too. But yeah.
Yeah, the butterfly effect, right? But yeah, so I think everything happens for a reason. I'm happy to be where I am now. Just being able to make money from stand-up is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
I have such a fun time at my shows.
So
I have the
cool.
greatest fans in the world, and I'm so lucky to be able to do this. Just doing. What I'm doing.
You're basically running your own tours then, yeah? Or do you?
Well,
have
with
like
the help of my amazing, my amazing team, as you would say.
Oh, okay. With the help of your amazing team, you're running your own. So you're deciding all that stuff too. So you're totally in the driver's seat.
Oh yeah.
Completely. All right. So let me just ask you I need to know a little bit about your creative process.
Sure.
Because your clips are so funny.
Oh,
I love turning on Instagram and seeing you showing up. And I always have to put the volume on because I usually have it all muted. But for you, I click the button.
I've been told that too. You got to put captions, but I'm like, oh, my delivery. And
no
can't
captions.
Read the same stuff.
Although people can kind of start to hear your voice, I think, when they see you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
kind
people
of.
if I put like a tweet up or something on my Facebook, people are like, I read this in your voice.
Exactly.
Which is kind of cool.
So that's a good sign.
Yeah,
and I feel like that you have that voice that people would know how you would be saying it. So, all right. So let's take a little clip like, for example, the clip about pronouncing your name was hilarious. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
So what was your process? So you write it all out first. You decide what you're going to say. You decide who the characters are going to be. You film a million times. Who's filming you? Give me all the deets.
Oh, man. That one, I don't even remember how that happened, but I have clips of people from Austin announcing me. And every time it gets worse and worse and worse. If people see an apostrophe, their heads explode. It's happened my whole life. The airlines is Eric Del, and they just don't know what's going on. My name is the Italian language is incredibly phonetic. It's just exactly what it looks like. It's exactly how it's said. Mm-hmm. And the only thing it's not is Sandro, but everybody Eric Dalacentrioli, and I'm like, what? So I think I was probably looking at film from somebody who introduced me, and I don't know where I got the idea from, but I would just sit there and she has to listen to me as she's having coffee, and I'm just like laughing to myself, saying like all the different names that people say, and then I write down which ones I like. I film a million of. I'll just be like standing there, me just saying a bunch of them, and then depending on how long it should be, like if it's a minute, I gotta make it perfect. But like that one's very specific. The other ones are. It's writing stand-up. So you sit there and you write it. That's how I got good at stand-up, was becoming a stand-up comedian on Instagram. I'm giving my secrets away a little bit too much, but like, I found this hole that no one was doing. No one was doing this. I was like, my open mic was my stand-up. Was my Instagram, where I would try a bit, and if it gets 300 likes, that's like
it's funny.
Kind of chuckles. 3,000 likes.
Okay. Right.
So
you're testing all your material there.
Yep.
makes sense.
Yeah.
But I noticed there's a lot of jump cuts because you must have a million takes in it. And it's funny because I know you're trying to get it into 1 minute.
Yeah, people are like, you talk so fast. I'm
No,
trying to fit it
it's
in
so
there.
great because at first I was like, how does he do all this in perfectly like that? And then I
Yeah.
realized, well, because I think I heard you say something about it, like that you edit it.
Of course.
You
yeah.
have to.
Absolutely.
To get it
I
to
write
that-
every single one
So
of
you
them.
write everything.
I think people think I'm just rambling off the top of my
Right,
head.
but you're not.
No.
So you're writing
absolutely
each one, and then you're performing it on film, and then you're doing like how many takes are you doing that you're going to end up editing?
not. Usually only once or twice.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then who edits it?
Me.
All right.
Yeah. I was an editor for years. I love editing. I used to do weddings and proms. That I hated. But my own stuff I've always loved because like I said, I had a video camera when I was really, really little. And I always thought like, how do you add music? How do you put something in slow motion? And I never knew how to do it. So when I finally learned how to do it, I was just like.
So what are you using? Premiere Pro?
No, I use Final Cut.
Oh, God.
I'm an
Premiere Pro.
I'm an Apple boy. You know what's
I'm
funny?
an Apple girl too, but
You know
Premiere
when
Pro.
people fall like Apple used to have this I'm sure they still do, but like people who love Apple are kind of like CrossFit people. Like it's like the same sort of like, oh, I'm a vegan. Like they love to tell you how much they love something. Because when I had Windows computers, I would have Windows Movie Maker or something, and it just never worked. It would just be error 404. I have the plug I'm supposed to have. I have the microphone I'm supposed to have. I have the camera, and it just doesn't work. No one knows how to help me. There's no one to call. There's nothing.
Yeah.
So I finally got an Apple computer. I'll never forget. The guy told me, use this cord. I'm like, you sure this is going to work? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I've done this before since I was 14. Never worked. Perfectly worked seamlessly. You can call Apple directly.
Yeah.
This is their software. And I will die for Apple. I'll never not. And that's another thing why people are like, oh, why? I think people think Apple is overrated. Now they are because Steve Jobs died, but they saved my life, and I loved editing. So I'll never leave Final Cut only because I just fell in love with it.
Well, I love Apple too, just for the record. I still love Apple. Randy Rainbow, do you know him?
No.
You don't know Randy Rainbow? You should.
Huh?
You should know Randy Rainbow because he's a
Okay.
comedian, internet comedian, basically. And
I
now
don't
he
watch
does his own
anyone.
tours.
Okay.
He's a lot older than you, but he does these like I'll have to just send you a link.
Yeah, send me a link.
But he uses.
Send me a Randy
he
Rainbows.
He uses Final Cut Pro as well.
So does Bo
And his
Burnham.
videos are excellent. But okay, so that's the video thing. So how about the girl clothes and stuff? Do you get annoyed having to be like a woman because people laugh so much at it? Do you like it? Like what?
A part of it, Dave Chappelle once had this great thing about on Oprah when he was like he I mean obviously I don't know if I should say this, but like he looked back in time. He's like, how many black comedians have been dressed up as women? He thought it was like this sort of disrespectful. He's like, everybody you could think of, Martin Lawrence, all these people.
Yeah, I think I heard this. Yes.
Yeah, and he said when he did Blue Streak, they're like, why don't you wear a dress? And he was like, what? I'm not doing that. So a little part of me always thinks of Dave, like, man, Dave would be so disappointed in me. But no, I don't. It is a little cheap. Like, oh, the joke is that guys wearing girls' clothes, like that. I get.
That's not the joke.
It's not. But I see people who are haters of mine and be like, he really likes to dress up like in women's clothing. But it's just like I have my analytics. I'm 75% women.
Oh,
follow
are
me.
you? Okay.
So it's like
okay.
I'm making content for them. And this is the stuff that they're going to relate to. So I want them to like it. And if it's funnier if I'm wearing a crop top, then there you go. You know,
It is very funny, I have to say. I mean, it's funny. You're both are funny. When you're, a man and when you're in women's clothes, both are hilarious. Of course, obviously that Walmart video was really
the Karen one.
the Karen.
Yeah, that was.
Oh my God. I showed it to like my son,
Oh,
my
nice.
husband. I was like, you got it. Everybody was dying. That one, obviously,
Yeah, that was my biggest thing I've
it
ever
works.
had.
But even the one you just did the other day about, what was it? Just driving, you're being your girlfriend driving in the car.
In Florida.
Funny.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, I mean, it works. Both work. So you just have a bigger repertoire.
Oh, I would like.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're not limiting yourself to only wearing the women's
Oh,
clothes.
of course.
Or
Yeah,
only
yeah,
being a man.
Yeah, but I've noticed that there's a complete discrepancy sometimes. There's some people who tune in for the same exact thing, which I do. That was always like my biggest fear, and I will see comments like, this kid does the same thing over, and I get it. But it's like, you know
but
what?
that's what
I
everybody's.
don't care. If
funny.
that's what people want,
They want it.
I'm there to make you laugh, and that's what you want. I'm gonna do. I don't have an ego about it anymore. I used to think that like that was bad, and I'm like, who do you think you are? Just put on the freaking clown makeup and make these people laugh, clown. So do your job and shut up.
It's all good. It's all
Yeah.
good. All right. So let me ask you like 2 closing questions and we'll wrap up. So I feel like you answered this already. That one of the big questions is, what's the image that people have of you? So like, who do people assume that you are? People don't really know you.
I don't know. How could I?
Okay.
I think they think that I'm gay. That's a big one. I don't know if that's like a jealousy thing of guys who are insecure and don't know how to say I'm intimidated by him. They're like, "What is he, gay?" I think I get that a lot.
Okay.
Maybe more Italian than I am. I have a whole bit in my act about how like, yes, I'm very much an Italian American. Especially when I lived in LA, I felt like Joe Pesci in My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah, I just watched that a couple months ago.
But
you stick out like a sore thumb.
yeah, I think I have, especially because I don't know if people realize I put on like a voice a lot of the times. So I think I get that. Maybe that I'm way sillier than I come off. I'm actually very serious. I seldom goof around. I mean, like around the house I am and stuff, but like if I'm like at a restaurant or if I'm hanging, I mean, I don't like to be the center of attention. It's hard for people to understand that. Like, oh yeah, sure you don't, but I don't. It's because like when I'm performing, yeah, of course I'm doing something that's specific, but like I don't want you to look at me if I'm not supposed to. Like I'm not trying to be the guy who needs attention on him, because I'm always aware of people thinking, oh, well, he needs to look, what, you don't get enough attention, Eric? Like, I like to just be left alone or to be doing something weird on my own, so.
Yeah, who are you really?